All right. Hi, everybody. We hope you all are getting rather excited about that ship up there in the top right-hand corner that we will be on in how many days, Connie?
Oh my goodness, let's see.
Oh,
Not too long.
there it is. And obviously we have the 39 or 46 days because some of you are sailing in 39 days and some of you are sailing in 46 days because of the two cruises, the back-to-back ships that we have. So
Because we sold out in like 14 days, so we had to add a second one. So be glad you're on it because we've had a long waiting list for both of them for a long time, haven't we?
the very first, it's very exciting. I mean, again, many of you have been to Europe with us with Alma Waterways on our river cruises, but this is our very first journey with Royal Caribbean to Europe. And let's just say they are very excited. So there's been much planning going on, lots of details behind the scenes. Think about getting a good old Holiday beer all the way over from Colorado. So this planning's been going on for some time. So just, of course, also make sure we have every detail checked in terms of products and backups for products, just in case things don't arrive on a ship, freight, plane, et cetera. So, but yes, we're very excited.
So whether you're on week 1 or week 2, check-in is either starting or getting ready to start. Last week we had a little issue where it said May 8th, but it was really May 9th. And I believe this week it says May 15th, but it's really going to be tomorrow. I guess the main thing is just don't fret because the check-in times are just a suggestion anyway. And, once you get on board, the delicious gluten-free lunch is waiting for you. So you can check in on the app or on royalcaribbean.com. But either way, you get a check-in time and then it's just a suggestion. So don't fret too much about not getting the right time.
And one thing to mention, we will have a specific Q&A at the end. So just remind you all, if possible, just to put those questions not in the chat, but in the actual Q&A, and we will answer those at the end. So in case we don't answer some of them as we go through this. So where is this place we're going to, Connie?
Well, how do you pronounce it?
I mean, many of you can see this was my doing on the bottom here because I tried to practice many times without visuals and I gave up. So this is for all of you like me who are not Italian at all. That's where you're going. Okay. So many of you are obviously coming into Rome, but Connie says it a little better than I. So maybe you can have her record it for you, for your cab driver, or whatever you choose.
Civitavecchia.
There. That's where we're going.
Civitavecchia. Yeah, you have to have a little vecchia. Yes. Anyway, the cruise port in Rome. There's 3 ways to get to the port. You can take a cab or an Uber. You can take a transfer through Royal Caribbean. You can get a Viator. Reach out to us. Many of you have already purchased all your transfers. There's even an express train. If you booked the Royal Caribbean transfer, just know that that's not going to pick you up till 1 p.m. So you'll get to the ship as soon as you can. And Royal Caribbean already knows that the 32 of you that are on that transfer are coming from the center of town and will be there. And I mean, they're not going to let you starve, right, Maureen?
Yes, we've already been in touch with the food and beverage team about this specific situation. And, those of you who have sailed with us in Alaska and things like that, what's so nice about the Solarium Bistro is it's our venue all week long, only for us. So they're flexible and we'll make sure that, once you get there, I have a feeling they'll stay open for us. They will. Don't worry. So if not, I'll personally take care of you. So,
yeah.
And what I've been amazed with our Facebook groups, and if those of you who have not joined the Facebook groups, make sure you look back in previous emails so you can see where we have the, how to join these groups, but many of you have such great ideas. So if there's some other transfer that you found that you think would be helpful to share with people, please feel free to do that. I know I just booked my family specifically. We're at a VRBO or an Airbnb in Rome, and this car is coming to pick up all 5 of them with all of their luggage, like in the center of Rome, directly to the door. So there's lots of options. So just explore, and again, feel free to use each other and us through that to help make sure you get to where you need to be.
And it's about an hour from city center out to the port, and it's about 45 minutes from the airport to city center. So, just know that it does take a little time to get to each place, but like Maureen says, there's lots of options.
So many of you, obviously, a big piece of Europe, specifically this trip, is all of the gluten-free options that we'll be able to have on land. Through much research, as we've discussed, there are some great news we got from Royal Caribbean that we are going to be able to bring off specific lunches for ports of call that don't necessarily maybe have dedicated spots, or, turkey, things like that don't just necessarily have places that maybe we want to take a chance with. So I don't know if many of you know Matt from Gluten Free Street Gang. If you do not, I suggest you follow him on social media. He's a hoot. He lives in Europe. He is just a world of knowledge as it relates to gluten-free venues and spots all through our entire itinerary. So Matt did this for us for one of our European river cruises in Paris. And not only is he going to give us like specific do not miss dining venues, but then we'll also say, walk 25 steps this way and go over here. And, while you're seeing the Colosseum, if you take this road down here, you can go get a croissant or things like that. So he's going to have a detailed guide for us for all of these different ports of call. Again, knowing that we may have 1 or 2 places that there isn't a lot. So, but know that if there is a place, we will have it for you, and there'll be a detailed guide. So that's finishing up right now, and we'll email that to you also. You have that. In addition, we're going to have, those translation documents. So we wanted to make sure you guys had those beforehand. In previous cruises, we've given those to you when you arrive, but many of you will have already spent a few days in Rome or wherever. So of all the different languages we'll be traveling through, we'll send them via PDF so you can print them out at home, or save them PDF to your phone, so you're able to share what you need to about specifics as it relates to dietary needs in these different venues. So we will have you covered there too.
So like we mentioned before, all of our meals are going to be in the Solarium Bistro. They're going to be on deck 14 forward. So that's the only place you need to go for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and late night snacks. It's a casual bistro. And the first day we'll have lunch from 11:30 to 2, with a little wiggle room for those of you coming in on the transfer from Rome at 1 p.m. You will need to show a lunch ticket. So we will email that to you on the very last email before we leave. So about a week before we go. You can show it on your phone or you can print it, but you need to show us that you are authorized to be there, because it is a private gluten-free restaurant just for you. So after lunch, you'll go down to the check-in and get your credentials, your t-shirt, your wristband, the things that you'll show, your lanyard, that thing to show that you belong to this group. We'll have a lot of people who want to come in and eat your gluten-free private lunch. But guess what? They're not going to be able to, because they are not going to have the lunch ticket. So if you're booked and you forget the lunch ticket, don't fret. We do know everybody that's booked in the group, but it would help a lot to alleviate the lines if you can just show your lunch ticket on your phone or print it out so that we know that you're part of the group. And then after lunch, you can delicious gluten-free lunch. You can head down to Music Hall on week 1 or Boleros on week 2. Either way, you're going to go to deck 4, and that's where you're going to find us and our staff with the t-shirts, the lanyards, the wristbands, all your credentials, everything you need to be part of our cruise for the week.
And, those of you, again, who have sailed with us for an Alaskan sailing, which is where the bistro is, it's a very coveted, popular venue. You have these stunning, like, floor-to-ceiling windows with pretty much the best views on the ship. So a lot of people really, really enjoy going there. So sometimes well, actually, very frequently on day one, you will find me doing a lot of bouncing because people get a little frustrated that they can't go to this place. But again, once we explain, for the most part, people sizzle down a bit. But that's why we're going to be asking that from you, because it again is a place that it's just for our guests, it's for your safety, et cetera. So, and then we'll always have our classic sail away party. 4:30 is when we're going to be meeting up at the Lime and Coconut. And I will say this, and we'll mention this again and again. Apparently there's 3 Lime and Coconuts on this ship. So to ensure we get you to the right place, there's the North Star, which is that really cool pod thing that goes up into the sky. And there's actually a bar area, like a large area right underneath that. And normally that's called the North Star Bar, but I'm told this is now called Lime and Coconut there. But we'll give you all those details. It's on deck 15. So come join us, say hi. We'll have, holiday specials and things like that there. Or just come meet your fellow passengers for a quick sail away as we head on to Greece. So food, food, and more food. So essentially the way that, as we've said, this is an open seating. So going to Europe, going to Alaska, these venues are it's excursion heavy, right? So we don't like people having to be stuck to a specific time. You must be here at this time. So that all the times are going to be open. So you'll have a large range of times. Again, I was hoping to have those tonight, but they're wiggling a little things with the ship to make sure that, it's the final 11:30 end or whatever, all the different things like that. So we know for sure, and we're not having to go back to you all and change them. So I be patient and I wait until Royal gets us those times, because for the most part, they're really trying to accommodate all of our needs there. So know that you will have those specifics long before it's time to go. But that's kind of how it works. There's a breakfast window, there's a lunch window, and then there's a dinner venue and then window. And then in addition, we have late night snacks, which many of you have known to love. They go above and beyond with that. So, for example, if you had an earlier dinner and you're hungry again, or if you had a later dinner and you're still hungry again, because this is your vacation, and when else can you have food all day long? They've surprised us with churros, it's unbelievable what they do. So we encourage you to try and hit as many of those as you can, assuming you're still awake, because they really do an amazing job with that. We talked about the to-go lunch. Connie, did you want to say something?
I was just going to say, and typically they're themed. So there's like an American night with burgers and hot dogs. There's a pizza night usually. There's, so we'll send you the details on that. But the cool thing is, pretty much what the theme will be for that night's for late night.
And as you can see from these pictures, these are not stock photos. I mentioned that those are real life photos from our those were from the solarium, Alaska. So we had hoagies and Philly cheesesteaks and fried chicken and all that yummy stuff. And some other healthy options too, but just those were the ones that kind of stand out in the photos. So there they are. We've covered the to-go briefly, in the email, which was a huge win for us. We'll have to give Cynthia and Mike, when you see them on board, a special thank you, because we all worked very, very hard to make the Port authorities really understand the challenges of what our needs were. So you can imagine talking to each individual Port authority to clear that a certain group of people will be taking food off the ship, even though they don't normally. So it was a real, again, just a statement of Royal Caribbean's efforts of understanding what our necessities are. But this is a private situation. So they've told me many, many times that we can't be talking around the ship, that we get these wonderful prepackaged, beautiful to-go lunches, or else, people are going to come banging. So again, when we say what special things they're doing for us, this is just for our group. So there'll be to-go options. All of those details are being finalized, but there'll be lots of different variety and snacks and things like that. So you can kind of put together and go. We don't want to give you away all of the surprises, but know that you will have something from us to be able to put such options, all of these to-go options, when you head out into your excursions. As you know, we traditionally give you some type of carrying apparatus, and this one might be more specific to putting things, lunch items in. So don't feel like you need to pack anything like that because we have you covered. Holiday beer, all the way from Golden, Colorado, across the Atlantic, here it comes. So that will be on board as always. So we're very excited about that. Took some efforts. And then what's nice, because of Char being very, very popular in Europe, as we all know, we will also have some Char surprises that you might not normally be able to get stateside in the US. So stay tuned for that too. All right, so more food information, because why are we here? We're here for the food, right? So if you see, those of you who have sailed with us before, you will beforehand get a onboard dining guide that talks about all of the specific times. Again, sample, those are not the exact times, that's from a previous cruise, but you'll have everything handed to you in terms of specifics as to what do you need, what time, where is this, where's the ice cream cones, where's Sorrento's, things like that. As you know, if we're going to put a restaurant on this list, that means we have reviewed in depth the overall execution, safety, things like that immediately beforehand. And we're going to get into safety in another slide here, but just know that if it's on this list, you're good to go. You know, the thing that we mentioned, the specialty dining venues. We have found that a lot of our guests on the Solarian Bistro sailings do not feel that the food is equivalent even to what we're being served in our venues, because, you know, they just go above and beyond. But if you did want to have a night in the steakhouse or something like that in Chops, we just really, really ask, again, it's a shared venue. So this is kind of where you're leaving our space. Are they trained? Are they familiar with celiac protocol? They are, but that's up to you to use your specific, you know, what your comfort zone is, if you're comfortable doing that, but also making sure you're communicating your specific needs as it relates to those venues. Sorrento is the pizza place, which is amazing. We will have a dedicated oven there. Again, those specific protocols are reviewed in depth immediately before you all board on both sailings. So know that it's good to go there. Starbucks, you know, whatever your comfort zone is, there is a Starbucks on the ship. We just like to mention that. Obviously, your coffees, things like that, but there's nothing going to be special from our areas there. So, you know, exercise caution and do what you would normally do at your Starbucks down the road. But again, all products in each of these venues will be reviewed in depth immediately prior to our cruise.
And one thing I wanted to add here is specialty dining and the Key program. A lot of people ask us about the Key. Royal Caribbean sells a product called the Key, which gives you priority boarding and also lunch, you know, on boarding day. And you already get that through Celiac Cruise. So you certainly don't need the Key. And then specialty dining, you don't need a dining package. You have the Celiac Cruise dedicated gluten-free dining room with our Solarian Bistro. So like Maureen said, if you want to go to a specialty restaurant one night, I mean, it's your vacation, do whatever you want. But the food, like she said, in our bistro is going to be so incredible. I don't think you're going to have any regrets. So yes. There's so much to do on board this ship. I mean, it is family friendly, couple friendly. It is just a great ship. There are pools and water slides and playmakers, and there's the sportsplex that has bumper cars and what all they do, all kinds of stuff back there. There's all kinds of activities all over the ship. There's that North Star that goes up that you can go in and see out. There's just a lot of things that the ship offers, but then we offer a lot of options too. So we'll have educational events. Who are those lovely people there, Maureen?
Oh, Megan Donnelly is on the top there. She's with Shar, so she will be on board. Some of you have met her before. And then the lovely Vanessa Weisberg from Celiac Disease Foundation will also be on board. So we will be doing some education, some fun, like, as we've said before, this is your vacation. You choose to do what you want with it. But part of our overall mission is to kind of hope that you go home feeling better about how you navigate this life day to day. So we always want to provide that information should you be up for it. So our heroes here will be on board doing some amazing presentations and, coffees and conversations like we've had before. And we've got lots of fun things planned.
And even kid events. We're going to have fun with the kiddos too. So we have two special events that we're so excited that we're going to be offering this time. The first one is the Taste of Royal, and the second one is a Holiday Brewing Company tasting event. And both of those are a paid event. And both of those, all the money goes to support our Cruising for a Cause. And all of that money goes to food insecurity to pay for food for people who can't afford it. So Maureen, you want to tell us about both these events?
Sure. So some of you I know saw a lot of familiar names on both of our manifests, which is very exciting. But some of you did this. The first time we did this was this past February on the Oasis of the Seas. And it's essentially the Taste of Royal is 4 different dining experiences from their different restaurants, specialty restaurants. So going back to what we talked about with the specialty restaurants, we'll create a way that you can do this safely and just know that you don't have to ask those questions. So it's 4 different tastes included with a welcome alcoholic beverage or mocktail. And essentially, I mean, it is mind blowing. So there's a few pictures here of this event. And they really went all out, and Shar is sponsoring this. So what's amazing is we're able to give 100% of proceeds to this, again, to our food insecurity project, which is just incredible. And it was, from when we went through our reviews, one of people's favorite things. So it's going to be in the restaurant called Wonderland on this ship, which is just a fun, just kind of, it's just a very eclectic, neat environment. So that will be there. So that will be offered on day 2, which is our first day at sea. And we will be getting those details to you shortly. I'm going to give that information in a minute. So that's our first philanthropic event. And then we will be doing a Holiday Brewing Company tasting event. There's going to be some excitement that goes along with that. I am finalizing that with the food and beverage team as we speak. Hopefully incorporating some food, which always makes everything a lot more fun. So that will be day 6, which is our second day at sea. But again, Holiday has donated beers that aren't going to be available on board. So you can get a taste of all of some of the different ones that they have available only in their tap room. So that's a really fun event as well. So that will be the 2 events that we will be doing both weeks, both week 1 and 2 for our guests. Limited numbers. All of this, again, is going to food insecurity, and we will be sending this information out to you. And I say it like this because they sold out very fast on the Oasis. And we have smaller, I think it's 52 seats for the Taste of Royal for each sailing too. And I think it's 40 for the beer tasting. But we're going to send that to you and post it in the email and the Facebook group next Friday, May 24th. So there'll be a registration link emailed to you, as well as posted in the Facebook group at the same time. Do it together, so that way you can go ahead and register. And again, all of these proceeds 100% will go to our food insecurity project. So that's exciting. Safety. Most important, really, it is. I always kind of feel like I should put this as the first slide, but let's get you excited, then talk about all the things that I hope everyone has come to know about us at this point. So the week before we're on board, we will be going through all the training with all of the different crew who will be interacting with us. In addition to the kids clubs, in addition to anyone who's going to interact with your children, every detail will be covered and reviewed about celiac disease and why and what is required to keep us safe. In addition, I already have the menus. I'm not allowed to share them, less, but we're reviewing every ingredient in those menus, every single detail. And Vanessa and I go through that, and I'm just so incredibly grateful for her specialty and her, detail and information with that too. So we've got lots of different eyes on that. Every single ingredient for per line item of all of this food is reviewed. And then when we get on board, we actually go down to where all of the ingredients are stored. So they lock our area up, which is amazing. They have to get a special key to let, so nobody else is going in there. You can go through our Instagram account and see some of the funny videos that we've done. I mean, we're in the freezers, where you name it, underwater in the bottom of the ship going through this. But as we're having the menus, you can see that picture with Vanessa, we're going through the menus. Okay, so what are you putting that? Let's see that item. So every single detail is reviewed as to what is going on in those menus. So yes, and then prior to, as I mentioned before with the Sorrentos, all of the venues that we state that we would put on that list, there's a walkthrough with them, how you're doing this, what happens like physically, how is the pizza, other pizzas coming through here, things like that. All of that is reviewed in detail. And then the morning of, our galley is inspected in detail. Again, checking cabinets, underneath cabinets, on the ground, you name it, looking just again to ensure everything is safe and you all can fully relax.
So here's a list of things to pack. And I guess the main one is your passport. It needs to be valid for 6 months after you get back. So make sure you find that, make sure you have it, make sure you put it in a safe place, make sure you keep it with you, not in your checked bags, but in your carry-on. Of course, medications and camera and chargers and sunscreen. It's going to be warm. It's going to be sunny. It's going to be beautiful. So, comfortable walking shoes. Europe is not the most ADA compliant. It's very cobblestone streets, and you need to have really good, comfortable walking shoes. Clothing that is breathable and light and airy is great. Cash, there's a question mark on, because there's two really schools of thought, and we tell our clients this. You can either go to the bank and buy euros before you go home. Some banks sell those ahead of time, before you go on your trip. Or what a lot of people do is they wait until they get in country. So once you land in Europe, you can go to an ATM machine and pull out euros. So you put in your PIN number for your ATM, and instead of spitting out dollars or Canadian dollars, if you're from Canada, it spits out euros, because that's where you are. So it costs about the same usually to get it out of an ATM than it does from the bank. And with the ATM, there's probably a service charge, like there is with all ATMs. But the one thing I would like to caution you is to make sure you let your bank know and your credit card company. So your debit card company and your credit card company know that you're traveling, so that you don't have any unauthorized, that they don't decline any purchase that, when you get to Greece and you want to buy some great souvenir and you go to use your credit card, that they decline it or something like that. So just make sure that your bank knows, and also your credit card knows. And now's the time to talk to your cell phone carrier about a European plan, if you plan to use your cell phone, or if you plan to use the Wi-Fi on the ship. Royal Caribbean offers Wi-Fi packages that you can buy if you want to stay connected. If there's ever an emergency, Maureen and I both have Wi-Fi, so we can certainly, let you use our phones to make an emergency call or something. But in general, those are good things to remember to bring.
Many of you have asked about the specifics as it relates to attire by nights. And, we stress optional. This is back to it's your vacation. So don't feel pressure that, you must dress in formal attire on night 2. If you don't feel like it, you're not. There's many people who choose not to. So you're not going to feel like, oh gosh, I'm the only one who's not dressed up. I like to sometimes use it as a checkbox for a holiday card and force my teenagers to get dressed for a hot second until they then decide that they're no longer wearing what I lay out for them. So there's options with that. So just so you know, and we'll send this in the email too. So this is what the ship traditionally does. So night one, obviously casual travel day. Night two, which is our sea day, is more the formal night. Night three, white attire. And then 4 and 5, casual, which is again coincides with our port days. Day 6, another sea day, is dress to impress. A lot of people ask, what's the difference between formal and dress to impress? I'm going to have to let you interpret that. I don't know which is more impressive, the formal or the dress to impress, but you know, you all can decide there. And then obviously our final night is a casual night. I have a picture of Maggie and I there, primarily because I think before a formal night, one night, we decided we wanted to do the iFly, and, you know, it takes some time, and those glasses are really suction on there. And, you know, your hair finds a way of getting very, very, if you have longer hair, all tangled up. So, you know, our formal night that night was a little, non-traditional, let's just say that, with the eyeglass marks and some nice crazy hair. So I mean, it's your vacation, choose to do what you want, but just, you know, a lot of you do ask, so we wanted to at least present that for you.
And once again, you know, it is the bistro, so it is a more casual environment anyway. And so pretty much anything, well, not anything, but, you know, shorts are going to be fine. It's going to be hot in Europe in the summer. So if you want to wear shorts on casual night, feel free to. It's just our group anyway. If you want to dress up on formal night, feel free to. Because there's, like Maureen said, you can certainly go get a beautiful photo made, and everybody else on the ship, a lot of them will be dressed up too. So if you want to get dressed up, that's a fun thing to do. If you don't want to, guess what? You don't have to. It's your vacation. So
All right. So I know there's some questions coming in, so we wanted to make sure we save some time for that. One thing I wanted to mention, I mean, I know a lot of people are doing Rome beforehand, and, you know, it's hard to say, okay, let's plan this meetup time, but use that Facebook group. That's kind of why we created. You know, a lot of times this happened in Paris on the river cruises. You know, we all go to the same, like, 7 different amazing restaurants, and, you know, sometimes we figured out who was who and sometimes we didn't. So, you know, make sure you're friendly, because a lot of times these restaurants end up being us in there. So it's kind of a fun way to meet people in advance, at our favorite venues. All right, let's go through here. And Connie, I'll hand over to you. What is for you? Okay, so is the 1 o'clock pickup time for the transfer from the airport as well, or is that a different time?
the transfer from the airport is based on when you land. So if you have a question about that, feel free to reach out to us, because everybody has a specific transfer for what time they land at the airport. So Celiac Cruise at totaltravelevents.com.
Next question, I think I saw this a few times. So can we buy Holidaily and other drinks if we don't buy the drink package? Yes, 100%. What's great is Holidaily is included in the drink package, so there's that benefit. But then if you're not getting the drink package, you can also purchase it outside, kind of an a la carte type situation. Dairy-free, yes, the chefs do a great job. Obviously, we understand and recognize the comorbidities with celiac, with dairy. So, you know, what we do ask, and many of you who have sailed with us before, in the beginning, just come over, grab one of us. We're going to introduce you to the chef, and we can they'll walk through and let you know for each individual meal, like what they're able to. And that's the first day. And then in advance, a lot of times what they end up doing is creating that relationship of they'll really try and accommodate additional things. So just grab one of us. We'll make those introductions in the beginning to make everything a lot smoother.
And we've already sent the list of all the dietary restrictions to the ship, and it's the food and beverage people on board the ship already know about your dietary restrictions that you included in your registration form. But like Maureen says, you do want to meet with us when you get on board.
Again, with the Holidaily is available to the entire ship. So just so people know that. But yes, you do not need a drink package. There's a question. I mean, of course, if we start to run through it, what we do with the F&B team. We review how much was consumed each day. But in the beginning, it is available to whoever's on board. But if we start to blow through it quickly, I may stop that from happening. So, but in the beginning, it is. Okay, a few good questions here. Would going to the restaurants outside of the celiac dining room cost extra?
Yes, so celiac dining room is included, but if you want to go to a specialty restaurant like the steak restaurant or the Italian restaurant or any of those, there is a cover charge and you would have to make a reservation. So
will there be a welcome dinner or breakfast the night before or the day of getting on the ship at the hotel? So we do, obviously we do this when we're doing the European river cruises, because those are actually a part of the Celiac Cruise package. So it's like a pre or a post. We really have a heart. Sometimes hotels, things change, right? So in this specific case, we want you to do all of your regular vetting and conversation. So there's not a specific welcome dinner or breakfast at the hotel beforehand. That is kind of just an a la carte. But that's when that handy dandy guide that we're going to send you will come in handy of places nearby the hotel and such that you can get safe food options. Can we bring our own wine on board and get it at different ports? If so, would drinking that need to happen in the room?
you're allowed to bring 1 bottle per person, up to 2 bottles per cabin. And you have to bring that on embarkation day. So the day that we board is when you bring that on. If you buy wine in the ports of call, then when you get back on the ship, they take it from you and you get it at the end. So you could take it back home with you. And you do need to consume that, open it in your room. You can get an opener, you can get glasses, you can consume that in your stateroom, or pour a glass and then come on over.
Will refillable water bottles be provided? We did not opt to do that for this, as we sometimes do different gifts at different cruises. That is not one of the things we will be providing you. We recommend, if you're a water drinker, what I traditionally do is I do bring a water bottle. And then I'll go to the different venues on board, and they really ask that you're cautious about just putting your water bottle up and refilling it. So what I'll do is I'll go and get a bunch of different individual tumblers, plastic, and refill my water bottle that way. But that's also a fun souvenir if you wanted to buy a water bottle in Rome to take home or something like that. So, but yes, you will need to bring that yourself. Where do we bring our luggage when boarding the ship?
So if you're taking the transfer, they'll take it under the belly of the bus. If you're taking an Uber or a cab, just bring it with you. And when you get to the port, the porters will take your bags from you and put them on the ship for you, so that you can leisurely walk on the ship without having to lug all that around. And then magically around 5 o'clock in the afternoon, it will show up at your doorstep of your cabin. And, you can unpack once it shows up in your cabin. Just be sure not to pack your passport or medications. Bring that on in your carry-on.
Yes. Information, will this presentation be emailed? Yes, we will be sending to all of you. Everyone whose email we have will receive a link to be able to watch this webinar again. Were we notified about a safety presentation on board? How does the sail away event impact that?
So the safety drill has changed completely. It's all called the safety drill 2.0. When you get on the ship, the muster drill, your station is already ready. So you can go straight to your muster station. They have guides there the whole time from like noon to 3 o'clock, and you can just stop in anytime. It'll be on your app where to go, and you go to your muster station, check in, and it takes about a minute and you're done. There is no more going and standing in lines and putting life jackets on, or waiting for the whistles or whatever. Right before we sail, the captain will make an announcement, and they will do the 7 whistles, but it's you can be wherever you want. It's not like you have to line up like you used to back in the day. So it's really easy. It's really convenient. It's one of the most amazing things that Royal does. is their safety drill 2.0, because you can just go anytime.
Okay. How about printing out luggage tags?
So yes, if you want to print out your luggage tags, once you're checked in and you've answered, done all your check-in on your app, you can print out your boarding pass. Usually it's within about 2 weeks of sailing. So they're not there now, I've already checked. And you can print those out and bring those with you. Or if you don't, it's fine. The porters will have luggage tags there. They're just going to want to know what's your cabin number. So you'll have to have your app open anyway to let the porters know what cabin you're in. And then they'll write your number on the luggage tags and put it on. So if you want to print them at home, that's great. If you don't want to, that's fine too.
Perfect. Do you know anything about Discover cards, Connie? Or do you know if those are able to be used in Europe?
I'm not exactly sure. I know that American Express is not accepted pretty much anywhere in Europe, so it's mostly Visa or MasterCard. So I would assume that Discover is going to be similar. I know that Visa is really the preferred card over there.
So is it easier to bring cash or is a credit card enough?
So if you have a credit card, you'll want to check with your provider and make sure that they don't charge any foreign transaction fees. Some credit unions have cards that don't, and some, higher valued credit cards don't charge. So either way, if you have a card that charges a credit card fee, they're going to charge you an extra 2 or 3% on top of whatever you've already paid for the item. So just check with your provider, your credit card company, and see if they charge fees. And pretty much everywhere takes cards in Europe.
Okay, about flights, mixed information for medication or vitamins. Do they have to be in original bottles or can we put them in vitamin pill boxes?
So there's a lot of conversation about this always. I've been to Europe 30 times, and you just bring whatever you want. I mean, I think the pill boxes are fine. They don't ask for medication bottles. If you want to put it in a medication bottle, you can. I think what they're concerned about is any illegal drugs, whether they may or may not be legal here. They're legal for Europe, and they're just want to make sure that what you have is nothing that's illegal. So I've had lots of clients that take their pills in pill boxes, and it's fine.
Additional entertainment on the ship, the book was one thing that people mentioned, but I mean, we've been on that ship before. I mean, there is endless. There's so much cool stuff.
The book is the show in the back at 270. All
Yes.
the shows are, you can make reservations on the app. It's free. You go, they're amazing. If there's space available at 15 minutes prior to the show, you can walk right in. So you don't even really have to have reservations. The shows are incredible. The back of the ship is called 270 on deck 5, I believe. And the whole back of the ship is open during the day. It's beautiful views back there. But at night, they have amazing shows. And they also do some fun parties back there too. So inside your app, you're going to really live on your app on the ship. The cool thing about the app is that you can connect without paying for Wi-Fi. You just connect to the ship's Wi-Fi, but you don't pay for it. And you have access to all the entertainment, all the shows, everything. And you can even chat with your friends and family on the ship through the app without having to pay for it. So their app has come a long way. And everything that they have going every hour is in the app.
How do we know the exact ports we will be docking in Greece, Naples, etc., for those of us planning our own excursions?
So if it says in parentheses where it is, oh, you mean like, I see. We may not until we get there. So some of the ports are docked and some of them are tendered. So and we may not know exactly, sometimes you go into one side of the port, sometimes you go into the other. If you have a specific question though about a specific port, we may be able to figure it out. If you want to email us at Celiac Cruise at totaltravelevents.com. We can look into that, or info@celiaccruise.com, whatever. And we can look into a particular port that you're looking for. But like, Kusadasi is really the port for Ephesus. So, you're not going to be porting in Ephesus. You're going to be porting in Kusadasi. Same thing with Civitavecchia. It's really not Rome. It's about an hour out of Rome. So, but let us know if you have a specific question.
What is roller skating gear? That's a great question. I should have been more specific, but it's one of those things because especially we're going to Europe, right? And it's summertime. It's essentially jeans or pants or leggings and socks. I mean, just making sure you have something unless you're an avid roller skater. But I still feel like they may make you, I think they require you to wear pants. So some type of leggings, pants, and bring some socks.
And you do need socks for the rock climbing wall.
Yes.
Yes. And then for iFly, I think you needs, yeah. So yeah.
Sneakers for iFly. I remember that. They made sure, because they want you wearing shoes, but they need to know that those shoes aren't going to fly off when you're flown up into the air. Sometimes natural artificial flavors can contain gluten. Will the ice cream itself be vetted? Yes, I can hear Vanessa. I can see her nodding. Oh yes, artificial caramel, you name it. And if we can't read it, we call the manufacturer. So we don't settle at artificial or natural. We get to the answers of what those things are. So yes, in detail. We spend some time on the phone and reviewing those. And if we can get an answer, we pull it. Recommendations for companies that offer shore excursions in Greece. Oh, teenagers. You might want to email me. I actually just found a kayaking adventure that me and my crew are going to go on in Mykonos. And it's like through the caves and things like that. I'm in that place of trying to keep the kids engaged, a little bit of history, a little bit of outdoor stuff. So Viator, things like that. There's also some other options, but if you want to email info@celiaccruise.com, I can get you that information of where we looked into, because I just wanted a few hours, something fun to do with the kids. But yes, there are all alternatives. Facebook group. Where do we find the name of the Facebook group?
So it's been in all the emails that we've sent, all of the newsletters. So if you've received any newsletter or the email that invited you to this event tonight, it would be there. It's also in your welcome packet, the welcome email that you get. I guess if you have a question, you don't know where it is, you can search for it, but if you want to email us, we'll send you the link.
If we're doing the transfer to the ship from the center of Rome, should we select an arrival time closer to 2?
Yeah, that would be fine. Like I said, arrival times are just suggestions now anyway, but that would be great because that's probably when you're going to get there.
Yes. Is there a specific hotel that this group is staying at prior to the sailing?
No, Rome has lots of smaller hotels. There's not big giant conglomerates as there are over here. So we sent out a list of 5 or 6 different hotel options. And I know other people are getting Airbnbs or, trying different places. So there was nowhere to house everybody at once. So we sent lots of options.
What gluten-free options for children will be like? Oh, you'll all set. And again, if there's something, I mean, that's what's so nice about this kind of intimate, smaller group. I mean, they cater to these kids and mine as well, who sometimes don't eat the things that I wish they would eat. But again, those gluten-free chicken fingers are really, really good. So yes, there's plenty of children options. Tons. Late night too, if you can keep them up that late. Can we buy food in ports as souvenirs and bring back to the ship? Good question, Connie.
So most of the things that you would buy in port would probably be prepackaged, and yes, that's fine. If you brought back something fresh, you might have problems with that. So I'm not sure what you would be bringing back, like maybe leftovers or something from a port. I don't think you can bring fruits and vegetables from port. But if you were bringing back something like you found some Char goodies at a market that you've never seen before and you want to bring those on board, you can do that.
Is this webinar being recorded? If so, how can we access? Every one of you, so long as we have your email, and you will automatically, because you registered for the email, be sent a link to this webinar to watch again. And we'll put it in the Facebook group as well. Okay, do we need special luggage tags for our bags for the cruise?
Yes, so you can print those off at home or you can wait and put them on at the port.
Will the solarium be open for breakfast on debarkation day?
Yes.
Yes. Yes, most definitely. And they make sure that, we have full bellies before we leave. When will luggage tags be available? Connie, didn't you say 2 weeks-ish? Okay.
2 weeks-ish, yes. Mm-hmm.
2 weeks-ish.
Yes.
We can let you know, generally speaking. I mean, if anybody sees them, feel free to post that in the Facebook group. Again, it's a helpful thing to share with your passengers when they're available, because, everybody's planning a little bit further in advance given the travel overseas. Gluten-free ice cream cones by the pool. You betcha. Would never not have those. It's always on my long list of, are you sure are you sure you have this? You sure you have that, to the Royal Caribbean people? So yes, they've learned not to mess with my ice cream cones. Disembarkation, when and where do we sign up for a time to depart?
So you'll get a paper in your cabin on like day 2 for you to complete, to give them what your flight times home are, or what you're doing from there if you're going onward from there. And then they'll assign your time from that. If you want to purchase a transfer, you can also do it at that time too. Because you can purchase those on board. I was just on board last week on a different cruise, and I was able to book my transfer right on my phone to get back to the airport at the end of the cruise.
Can we take food out of the solarium if we want to eat with other people, not in our group? That is a question that I guess is your comfort level. We have had people who will come in for breakfast and take a plate and cover it up and take it back to the cabin. No one from our group or Royal Caribbean is going to stop you from doing that. Obviously, once you walk out of those doors, it depends what your comfort zone is with that. But, no one's going to stop you from doing that, whether it's in your cabin or whether it's, there's also in the solarium area, some like lovely outdoor tables there. You're welcome to do what you want with it. Obviously, we ask that you're not coming back and forth, because it can, just kind of disrupt flow. But in terms of taking food, back to the cabin or other places, that's up to you. So,
and just so you know, the Solarium Bistro, outside of the Solarium Bistro, which is the solarium of the front of the ship, that's adult only. So there are some really great tables out there if you want to eat with just adults, but children would have to eat in the bistro.
If we are not paying for the ship Wi-Fi, will our app still be able to be used?
Yes. So when you get on board, you're going to connect to the Wi-Fi, and it's going to say, do you want to use the free version or do you want to use the paid version? And you select that, and then voila. Wait, that's French, but whatever.
You're showing off now.
I know. Civitavecchia.
Oats, quinoa, gluten-free. So we do really try and stay away from oats as much as possible, given just everybody's difference of feelings on oats. Some of the European products, obviously. If there is oats, you will know about it. In terms of quinoa, for the most part, there's rarely quinoa there. Some of the products, if that's an issue for you specifically, obviously everything is vetted to ensure that it's gluten-free from its origin. But if you have a quinoa specific, with it being certified gluten-free, please let us know. Any additional allergens outside of gluten, we do want to know. Obviously, we have those dietary restrictions we've gotten in advance, but if anything's changed, we ask that you update us so we can share that with the ship. But anything additional, we want you talking to us so we can ensure that everybody is aware. But if there's oats, but I do not believe there are, but if there's anything that comes in that do have oats, just know that, yes, they are certified gluten-free, but you will know about them. And the only reason I'm saying that is because some of the European products do have, some of those things like a gluten-free item from Char. And I will check and be sure. But, traditionally, we do really try and limit oats in our products, or actually completely avoid them, to be honest. So lots of questions about tipping. Different tipping customs in Europe. When and whom do we tip? Tipping standards.
So on board the ship is going to charge you $16 per passenger per day, unless you're in a suite, and then it's more. They're going to automatically charge you unless you have signed up to prepay your gratuities. It's the same price if you pay it now versus if you pay it on board the ship. But they charge you per passenger, and that goes to your cabin steward, your server, and your assistant server. At the end of the cruise, it's customary, if you want to give extra, to maybe a couple of servers that have just gone above and beyond, or your cabin steward, if he or she's gone above and beyond, then it's customary to give some extra money if you want to do that. Out in town, Europe is not a tipping continent in general. The folks over there are paid a fair wage to work in that restaurant, and so tipping a few euros is not expected. But if you wanted to leave €5 or a couple of euros after a really nice meal, you could. It's not expected. It's just a little extra that you could give. On the ship, it's automatically charged.
Gluten-free room service. So the reason why we do not say, okay, yes, you can call the traditional line and order. I mean, yes, do they have naturally gluten-free things? Yes, they do. They may even list gluten-free toast on there. And to say that many of our guests have used that and not had issues, that's the truth. It is a shared facility where the room service is coming from. So that is why we do not put our name on room service. So that's kind of at your own discretion. But also, as I mentioned before, we do have lots of people who will come down, sometimes me for my children who like to sleep in, and carry back plates of items from our dedicated venue. So yes, you have to get out of bed and come on up. But that is the safest option if you are not comfortable with a shared environment. Is there a specific app for this group, or do we download a general Royal Caribbean app?
It's the Royal Caribbean app, and you'll check in on the app. You can upload all your photos and everything for your check-in there.
Do you have a specific amount of cash that you recommend taking for tips, etc.?
I mean, I think a few $100s would be fine. It depends on if you're staying before or after, or if you plan to use a credit card or not. There's so many different variables. Food is much less expensive usually in Europe. So I don't know. I would think a few $100s, and then just make sure, like I said, that your bank knows that you're over there, so that if you need to get more euros out of the ATM, you can.
Let's see, tender. Which ports are tendered ports, and can you explain what a tender is?
I'll have to look it up. I might need to have a little diversion here, but
All
what
right,
a tender is.
We'll come back to you.
Why don't you tell us what a tender is, Maureen, while I'm
A
looking this up?
tender, so many ports of call, the ship can pull right up to the dock the pier, whatever, essentially stating that it's deep enough for big ships like this to get into. A lot of these places, it's not deep enough. The waters are a little inconsistent. So then we use a tender, which essentially is a very, very large boat. I don't know if we call that one a ship, but that's a boat that will take probably up to 500 people per turn into the port of call. And they keep those moving very fast. I can't see that.
I found it.
Okay.
So Santorini is tendered because there is no port big enough for a ship. So we'll be parked outside and then the little tender boats will take us in. Mykonos is tendered, and then all of the other ports are docked. So only the 2 stops in Greece, just because they don't have a dock big enough. So all the other ports are docked.
Yes. Good question here about the solarium. So the solarium bistro is obviously, we are only allowed in there. So only our children are allowed in there. But in terms of the solarium venue, that is an adults only area. So yes, the kids can eat in the bistro, but in terms of going to the common area with the, the spa pools and the lounge chairs, those are just for adults. But it's pretty easy to kind of designate where is what. It hasn't been an issue before. And I mean, if they take a wrong turn, like it's not a big deal, but people know we're there and we're allowed to be there. Do you have to pay for the activities like iFly? I think it's
yeah.
one free per sailing, is what I recall. Vanessa's the pro here.
Yeah. And you make those reservations once you get on in the app, and it shows the times that you pay for it and shows the times that are free.
And then the other thing that we've done in the past, because a lot of times, like all of these pre-booking things, there's nothing available. Oh gosh. So what you can do is just go to the actual like office, where it's like the activities desk, or the activities area, and talk to them, and they will have a completely different availability than shows in what the app says. So don't panic if the app is like no availability, because they do pretty much allow each guest to be able to do it once for free. And then I think if you wanted to do it a second time, there is a cost to it. And I believe it's the same thing with the North Star, excluding like peak times. I'm not exactly sure what peak times would be on this sailing, but usually like it's like when we're going through the glaciers or whatever in Alaska. So, but yes, those are things that you can book once you get on board. Did you send out the hotel list to everyone, or only if you requested it? Yes, that was in our initial booking email. If you need additional information, please just reach out to us. And again, we do have a tendency, being honest, to end up in people's junk email or spam. So that's why we say in the beginning, just go ahead, info@celiaccruise.com, flag us as a preferred or not spam. So you will get our emails. But if you need any information, I'm not sure, that's Connie, if there's availability, but if you need anything, please email us at info@celiaccruise.com and we can get you that information. Does the ship offer activities for toddlers?
There's a really cool splash zone, a splash park, water park, that's for toddlers. That's really cute. There's a kids club for toddlers. There's lots of cool things.
Yes. I mean, the kids clubs are fantastic. They do an amazing job, but this ship in particular does have more for, I mean, it's not all of them have this like splash area. So there's tons for toddlers and, older 5, 6s, as well as the older ones too. Best way to get to the port, Uber. You can look into that. Like I just mentioned, it just depends where you're staying. I booked a Viator for my family, but feel free to email us and we can give you some specific options. There's also Royal Caribbean transfers. But if you need help, please go to the Facebook group or email us and we can send you those direct options to make sure you get to where you need to be. To-go lunches off the ship on disembarkation day. We are talking with Royal Caribbean about that. Obviously, they're aware that, you know, that is a thing. Obviously, you know what getting everybody off the ship like that will be. So we're going to try and have some, you know, it might not be the spread that they have for lunches, because it's just a volume thing. But if they're able to do it, they're going to do what they can for us to make sure we have something. Royal ups, will those be an option, Connie?
Yes. So within 30 days, you'll get an email from Royal Caribbean if you're eligible, and you can bid for an upgrade. These cruises have been sold out for months, so it's unlikely that anything would open. But if it does, you can bid on to get an upgrade. And if it's accepted, then they'll just automatically move you. And then if you go from like a balcony to a suite or something, then they'll just charge you the additional gratuities. So Royal Bid Up is available, but I've been on it so many times and I've never ever gotten it. So if you get it, I'm going to be very upset. No, I'm just kidding.
Does the solarium have beverages for sale in addition to the included coffee, water, tea?
Yes. There's dedicated servers in there that will be serving you, and you're going to fall in love with them because they're going to be so accommodating and so fun. They're going to be assigned to us for the whole sailing, so you'll really get to know them. And if you like a Diet Coke at lunch, they'll start to remember that, and they'll order that for you. But yeah, there's a bar right outside, so they can offer a full range of drinks in the solarium.
Let's see a few more here. How do you get tickets for the tender? They will go through those things in detail. I mean, usually there's not a ticketing process. There will be information on your beds or in the apps about those specific details the evening before, the day before, how it all works. I mean, think about they do it every week with the same volume of people. So it always amazes me how they figure out a way to streamline this, but we will be well informed. And, that's what's nice about having the bistro. We're also there to help too. So yes, we'll be able to help you there. Question about sushi, the sushi venue. Kind of the same thing we've said before. We know that they will have gluten-free soy sauce. It is not a dedicated venue. So it's kind of up to your own discretion. We have many people who have eaten there and not have issues, but again, it is not a dedicated venue. So you would just need to clearly state your needs and things like that, just to confirm. But I know that we do have gluten-free soy sauce. Tenders are free. Yes, no charge there. That's a part of your cruise. Let me see. Teen club. Yes, there's a teen club. Apparently it's one of the best teen clubs Royal Caribbean has, from what I read. So if you have one, feel free to grab mine and all the other tween teens, and let's keep them together. So he'll actually go in there. Let's see, assigned seating in the bistro. No, it is open seating. So, yeah, I mean, based upon your party number, obviously, if you have someone you would wanted to sit with, we have to kind of keep things moving in terms of availability and seating. So if you had a larger party, we do say larger parties, please, communicate with us in the beginning so we can just make sure that, we keep flow happening the way that it needs to be. Can we go right to our rooms when we board, Connie?
Usually not. Usually the cabins don't open till about 1:30 or so. So that's why you come and have lunch, and then you can go start touring the ship and looking around. The expo will start at 2, so you can come by and pick up your goodies, and they'll make an announcement when the cabins are available. So remember, 5,000 people are getting off that morning. They're cleaning the entire ship from top to bottom, and all the hallways will be blocked off and closed until there's spickety span, or what is spick and span, whatever the saying is. Once they're fully cleaned, they'll open them back up, and then we can all go to our cabins.
Yes. We travel with a small electric water kettle and camping meals. Will the kettle be confiscated? Yes, I pretty much can confirm that. They take any type of not, I mean, there's a list. I think you can go into their, on their website. But I had a cruise ship approved extension cord taken in Miami in our February cruise. So I'm pretty sure anything like that, steamers, irons, what else have we seen, Connie?
Some big fans.
Fans, yeah.
The cool thing is that they confiscate it, but then you pick it up on your way off the
Yes.
ship. So it's not like they're going to keep it. You just have to remember to get it.
Yes.
But they have fresh, hot water available, at the wherever there's coffee, there's fresh hot water to make tea everywhere all over the ship. So if you're wanting to make dehydrated something because there's not enough food available in the solarium during breakfast, lunch, dinner, and late night snacks, then that hot water is available to you to make anytime. But yeah, if you're just bringing it for pre or post, they'll confiscate it, and then you can get it back at the
end. Okay, so someone asked about if rooms have kettles in them. No. Now, I mean, you think about fire hazards and things like that. They're very, very cautious about these things. Are all of our Celiac Cruise rooms together in the same area, or are we all over the ship?
All over the ship. Yeah.
Yes.
Some people got inside cabins, some people got grand suites. So they're all located on different kinds. And that's the great thing about a big ship like this, is that we can provide, different accommodations for different budgets. And then everybody gets to go on this amazing trip. So we'll all be together for those meals, though.
Yes. I'm typing some of these answers out here too. Okay. How is the food served in the solarium? Is it buffet? So breakfast and lunch is buffet. But it's just such a higher end buffet. The word buffet doesn't really do it justice in my mind. I'm not, buffets aren't my favorite. I mean, the food is just, it's so good. And then at dinner, it's kind of like a tapas type situation, and that you'll go and get your starters, and then you will place your order for your entree and dessert. If there's a special dessert, some desserts are already out as well, with your server. So dinner's a little bit different. Special plugs for outlets in our cell phones.
So for the hotels in Europe, yes, you would probably want to bring an adapter, and you can get those on Amazon. They're very inexpensive. Most cell phones are 110, 220. So, I mean, anything that anybody would be bringing would be dual. So all you need is an adapter to adapt the plug. So they have an odd looking plug in Europe. And so you buy this little plug, this little adapter that goes into their plug, and then you can plug your plug into it. Things like curling irons and hair dryers do not perform well at all in Europe. So I would use the hotel's hair dryers, and I would use the hotel's, if you're going to use a curling iron, you're going to want to get one that is European, so that you don't fry it, because we fried so many hair straighteners and curling irons in the past with my girls.
Hotels, but the
hotels,
fine.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm just talking about in the hotels, or out in Rome. So when in Rome, don't use your hair dryers and curling irons and things like that. Hair straighteners, they'll all fry. So when you get on the ship, though, they have US ports, power ports, as well as European power ports. So on the ship, you're fine, and you can use, your cell phone chargers and all of that right in the regular plugs.
Do you have celiac safe dining guides for other Italian locations, Florence, Amalfi, etc.? I just took some notes, and I will be sure to ask Matt if he can include that, because I know that he does have guides for that. Again, I encourage you to check out his Instagram page. gluten-free street gang. And there's a lot of, because he goes to all of these different locations around. There's a few others that we can share in the Facebook group. I think gluten-free Italy. I mean, there's a lot of those that have really highlighted some places. I mean, obviously our apps are our friends too, but you know, those that are reachable. I mean, those of us going to Sorrento or whatever during the day from Naples, we will make sure we include those if it's, you know, a part of like the cruise plan, but I'm happy to help assist with those other locations if you're going before or following, you know, as well. Extra charge to visit other restaurants for those without celiac. So
So,
the non-specialty,
oh,
I should have been.
if you're, yeah, so the only place so you will be assigned to the Celiac Cruise dedicated gluten-free dining room, and anyone that books with the Celiac Cruise group, you'll be assigned to our special restaurant. And honestly, the food is amazing. If you wanted to go eat regular food in a regular restaurant, there's a possibility that they could accommodate you if they had a space, but remember, you're assigned to the gluten-free dining room. So the main dining room would be kind of if they have space, they would let you go one night or something. Now, remember, there's a Windjammer buffet. There's lots of places on board the ship that have lots of gluten that you can go for. The people who want to eat gluten food can go eat there. Is that what the question was, you think?
Yeah, so the question was for people who, you know, do not have celiac, but traveling with us, are they able to go to the non-specialty alternative options?
Yes. So there's lots of places to get a burger or, you know, gluten filled food. So anybody can go get gluten anytime they want away from our dining room.
Yes. How far is the port from the train station? Walking distance, or do we need a cab? From what I read, it looks to be about a 10-minute cab ride. Obviously, I think this town is primarily used, especially on those specific days that ships are coming into port. They know where you're going with luggage. So that from what I have read, there's taxis readily available from the train station to where you need to get to the port. Let's see. Oh, thank you for your kind words. We appreciate that. I mean, obviously it's your vacation, but it's a vacation very long coming for many of you. I think we know a lot of you. Those of you who don't know us know that, you know, this is personal. My family, lots of loved ones, lots of dear friends that you all have been impacted by celiac. So we take this very personal and want you to be able to relax and finally enjoy a vacation without having to discuss this at length every time you eat. So appreciate the kind words, but it's why we do what we do. So. But thank you everyone for being here. Again, we will send this to your emails, post it in the Facebook group, etc. If you have specific questions that we didn't get to, info@celiaccruise.com. If you have questions that pop up when you're lying in bed tonight, same thing. We want you to feel relaxed and comfortable, so feel free to ask them. So, but we'll see you soon.
Thank you.